Signed by all. I said that correct. Thank you very much for the kind introduction and for the PC for inviting me to speak today. And thank you everyone here to listening. I won't take too much of your time up because I know the most important session is coming up lunch, where we do all our networking. Today I'm here to talk about the Internet Society and our some of our work involved with trying to improve strengthen the resilience of the internet, not just here in Mongolia, but globally. And that's all part of our work to try and make the internet for everyone. Part of trying to achieve that, and any goal that we try and do, is we need to measure. Measurement is become foundational to everything that we do these days. We need the data to be able to back up what we want to do and to understand how we get from where we are to where we want to go. So the Internet Society has been working on a project for the past 5 years to collate a lot of the really good internet measurement data that's out there. There's a lot of great projects out there that have been measuring the internet from different aspects. The hard thing is just trying to find that and make sense of it all. So we created Pulse, which is a website that brings all that together and helps with the context associated with it. A key thing that I will add is we don't produce any of the data at the moment. We're just showing you what data is out there from trusted third-party sources. So these are the focus areas, because we all know that the internet is such a large landscape. There's so many different facets to it. So we have to focus it just a little bit. And these are the 5 themes, rather, that we are currently focused on. And today I'm going to be talking about internet resilience, but I'm happy to talk about any of these other ones during the lunch and the rest of today. So when we talk about internet resilience, it's such a broad term, but it's something that's starting to come into a lot of conversations. And from our perspective, a resilient internet is one that reduces the impact of when things go wrong. Now, I say when, not if, because like any system, things will go wrong. We've all experienced it. We've all had those times where the network's gone down and we're all flustered, and it's all about get it up, get it up, get it up, do whatever you can. So again, trying to build that resilience in from the start, make sure that you're prepared for it, but that the downtime is, minute, and your customers don't have, you don't have many people calling you and emailing you, where's my internet? From our perspective, we developed an index to measure this, the resilience. And again, it's such a broad thing, so we have to focus it. And we've created 4 pillars associated with that. Looking at infrastructure, looking at performance, looking at security, and market readiness. And I'll go into a little bit more detail of these different 4 pillars. But just to say, this is the first that this has been looked at by anyone, really. So we're looking to also expand it to other pillars as well, such as environmental and disaster, which is becoming even more important as well. So the index, you can look at it from a global perspective, a regional perspective, and a country perspective, and you can use it to compare yourself between different countries and regions. The premise, though, the internet is a global network. It's not a country utility. So we always try and bring it back. We've got to look at this in a holistic manner from the global perspective. And from the global perspective, this is what we're looking at. So we can see security is the most resilient pillar at the moment globally. And all the others are in those 40 ranges. And that's pretty typical of where our focuses are. And by say we, you all out there, security is a paramount thing for a lot of you at the moment. Looking at the different regions, we can see Asia is right up there, Europe's leading the way, and that has a lot to do with its maturity, so the internet maturity of the region. But, Asia is right there with North America, which has, the most mature of the internet ecosystems in the world. So it's growing quite a bit. You can also see those different pillar colours at the end, down the bottom of those. So you get an understanding of where those strengths are. Going into the sub-regions, so East Asia is unsurprisingly the most resilient, again, the majority of the internet ecosystem out of all the different regions in the Asia. Southeast Asia is growing quite quickly, and Western Asia as well, but Eastern Asia is leading the way. And when we look at Eastern Asia, we can see that Taiwan is the one that's leading, and everyone else is fairly similar, to be honest. Japan, Korea, China, and Mongolia, there's hardly anything separating them. But then that's overall scores, but you look at those pillars, and then you can see infrastructure is the least resilient in all those other countries, except for Mongolia. Mongolia is actually doing really well. It's its second strongest pillar, whereas market readiness is its weakest. And so we'll dig into a little bit of that. So when you start digging into the website and seeing the index, you can see the profile for each of these countries. And you get to see how things have changed in time. So we've got data that goes back to 2020. This data currently is 2023, and it's about to be updated at end of this month or early next month. So you will get 2024 data. But you can start to see some trends happening. So you can see infrastructure had a big spike in 2021, and performance and market readiness have kind of just been going up and down. A lot of that is a bit of static. If you took a trend curve, you would see performance is actually improving quite a bit, whereas market readiness is that steady 40. Now, you can look at it in two ways, the index and all the different metrics associated with it. You can look at it as all the weaknesses or all the strengths. And with weaknesses, I don't necessarily want to call out anything that's bad. I just want to call out the opportunities that there is for you to be able to develop more in those areas. And then also learn from the successes. Like, there's a lot to learn from taking security further and taking infrastructure further. So the opportunities, where can we go with the opportunities? From looking at the data, there seems to be 4 opportunities here in Mongolia to strengthen your internet resilience. So we can talk about the increasing market diversity, which was your weakest pillar, increasing local peering, hosting content locally, and the need measure. So this isn't probably news to you that Mongolia's market is highly swayed to one operator, and under our ranking systems, this kind of profile to the left gives you a very poor score overall. Now, this is a shared thing by a lot of countries. 78% of countries globally have this poor to very poor profile. So again, it's nothing new for a lot of people. There's a lot of countries out there who are sharing this challenge of having a monopoly or duopoly market. And it's nothing wrong with it either. I mean, for a lot of countries, this works. And the limited number of service providers that are in the country have done a fantastic job to be able to take your internet penetration from, 30% only, or 40% from 7-8 years ago to 84%. Your performance is on the way up, which is great. 4G is pretty well, you're almost at 90%, and you're only at the start of 5G, which is understandable. Obviously, an important thing is internet costs. that has a lot of things with market competition. They say more competition drives down internet costs, and that doesn't necessarily seem to be the issue here. But there's probably something to be said about performance and the 5G coverage, which more competition could help with. And again, there's a bit of resilience associated with how those networks are connecting to outside the country as well. So this is just to show that Unitel has a bit of diversity with connecting outside the country, which is obviously very important for a landlocked country like Mongolia and other landlocked countries to make sure that those upstream providers and links there's redundancy there. So when there's something wrong with the upstream, you have backup. Oh, these are the old slides. Sorry, I submitted them last night again. So we'll get through these. Something that a lot of people say about market competition is it's a hard thing to change. Once monopolies are established, they just have momentum, they have the clout, and especially since the good work they're doing, it's hard to say, let's break this up. It's hard to, but it's not at all impossible. And these countries here, 25 countries, have actually been able to really diversify their market in the last 2 years. So this is only 2 years worth of data. And in the case of Myanmar, Venezuela and Iraq, they've jumped 2 to 3 rating points in only 2 years. In the case, this is Iraq's market competition profile over the last 2 years, and same with Venezuela. And you can see that the incumbent operator has either lost its share, in the case of Venezuela, with previous operators starting to come up and take more of the share, or in the case of Iraq, a new operator came to town and started taking over a bit of it. But at the same time, it's been losing its shine straight away with some of the other operators coming up. So again, there's different ways to go about this with introductions of new players or just those traditional players which have only been servicing probably 5% of the population, just growing naturally. Don't discount it. That's the message. In terms of peering, you're doing a really good job. 2 IXPs, so a bit of redundancy there. 14% of active networks in the country connecting to IXPs, which is above the average for a lot globally. And capacity is on the rise. The next kind of step that you'll be looking for is actually diversifying location of IXPs. So trying to take them out to growing populations. And again, this idea of taking infrastructure closer to users and new markets, this is something that's been born out of CDNs. That's the playbook out of CDNs, and that's how the internet's kind of moving towards as well. Again, less concentration, taking it out towards that last mile. We missed it because it's my old one. I have a nice little graph there. I'm sure I'll be sharing it on the website afterwards. Thank you. But this is a graph on the right would show where your current most popular content is being hosted. This is becoming a really important facet to understand from a resiliency perspective, basically because the closer you can get your content to your users, the better the performance. And in the case of Mongolia, you're 40% better off than a lot of the rest of Asia. So at 72% of content that is hosted locally or within the region, so by the region you'd be saying servers in China or in Russia, you'd be pulling content from that. But I think it's about 65% local and 7% from those regional local caches. So you're doing a really good job of that. You're well ahead of what we're trying to achieve with the Internet Society, with making every country have at least 50% of their top 1,000 websites hosted locally. So keep up the good work with that. Measure. To take a quote out of the real estate playbook, this is, again, from what I started, data is so important for our businesses today, for our planning, and also being able to show success, which only means then we can get more money in planning done. There's a lot of limitations with what we're measuring currently. The biggest limitation is the freshness of the data that we collect. And what we're trying to encourage a lot of communities is to try and establish Indigenous measurement networks. So those networks in your own country to be able to measure the data that you think is the most important. An important part of establish something like that is to make it standardised data, something that can be input into recognised indexes or databases, because particularly when you're talking to international funding bodies and development agencies, they want to be able to make sure that those figures marry up with what they have to be able to help with their forecasting and also reviewing. So again, if we looked at, I've forgotten what this site was, but it only has data back to 2014, which is a little bit disappointing because how important ICT infrastructure is for every country these days. And on this topic, infrastructure is obviously very important to be able to have data on that. And making that data publicly available. So from my own research, this is the most publicly available terrestrial data fibre that I could find. And that's the highest resolution that you can find as well. So you can't really make much out of it. You can't really drill down to where that cable is, who owns those cables, who's running it, and the technology associated with it. And that wasn't until yesterday. Oh, damn. Because I had a really good map, because I was in the offices of the ICNC building and they have a really lovely map from 2022 showing the updated infrastructure. Again, it's from 2022, which means it's probably data from 2021, but it is a static thing. It's something you can't overlay information on, and it's not public. It's in an office somewhere. So trying to make this sort of data open and available is really important. And that's something that we're trying to do with one of our projects called the Open Fibre Data Standard. And that's about bringing that data and making it open and public and for operators to contribute to in a standardised manner. Having that sort of information is really important from your planning perspective. From an operator's perspective, it can reduce the number of cable cuts, which we all understand how much that costs just to fix those, but also your customers' feedback on those cuts as well. It's all about reputation these days. Also think about how much dark fibre has been put out there and duplications for no reason. If you knew where the fibre was already and being able to tap into that dark fibre, you could save a lot of money in development costs. So come talk to me. I'll take a brochure afterwards at the back on this project. We are looking to try and hold a workshop next year in Central Asia to try and bring together operators and regulators to talk about this and to hopefully get to a resolution to share this data. I might as well quickly talk about this. I wasn't planning to, but a final thing is to also try and figure out and work with power operators. It doesn't matter how resilient your internet is, it doesn't matter how secure your internet is, it doesn't matter how good your equipment is. If you don't have power, you don't have internet. Your modems won't work, your customer mobiles won't work, nothing will work if there isn't any power. And I experienced this yesterday when I was in Ulaanbaatar having a shower and the power went out. Now, I'm sure you all experienced this. whether it's daily, whether it's weekly, whether it's monthly, but it's a growing concern for a lot of countries, not just here in Mongolia, but elsewhere. 47 power-related internet disruptions globally since 2023. This is all that I could find here in Mongolia, but I know this is all that's reported, and it would be a lot more common, and let alone the ones that are actually affecting your customers. So again, it's working with that industry, I feel, as well, because they're just a network of wires, just like you all, who are connecting customers. And I feel there's a lot that this room can share with them and they can share with you. But it's building redundancy together to make sure that you all are kept online. There's support for this sort of stuff. The Internet Society offers this. But if you're interested in what we're doing, subscribe to our newsletter, get in contact to be able to collaborate with us. And you can also review the methodology for our index. That's something that we all wanted to define ourselves as. Everything that we do is open as well, so you can reproduce it and do it for yourself. I had a final slide, which was to give a plug to a new chapter that we're establishing here in Mongolia. Could I get you all to stand up just quickly? This is a group that is establishing a chapter of Internet Society members here in Mongolia. Please come and have a chat with them. They've also got some pamphlets at the back. Really supporting something like this can open up some new opportunities to help strengthen and grow the internet here in Mongolia. So thank you all.